night is that you didn't unload your unfinished business, your unacted desires, your unacted passions. You didn't get a chance to unload those in your day. So you may have been busy during the day, but you're kind of filling up all of the to-do lists of things that other people prioritize and need from you, things that maybe your current job requires of you, and other people's objectives, other people's desires, and you're it's like the path ahead of you keeps getting filled in. You clear a little space in your day. You start to think you're going to there. Sometimes insomnia is a good thing. It's a good symptom for you to listen to. And I will tell you why insomnia can be a good symptom that you should listen to if you're curious about different ways that your life could unfold. And I am in the car today by necessity or by choice. Unfortunately, there was a shooting at my son's university at Florida State. And so I'm driving up through the state of Florida to go visit him. It also happens to be Easter weekend. But I would be going nevertheless. And I'm grateful that my son is safe. I'm heartbroken for the students that were not only injured and for the victims who perished, but also I feel for every single student who's been shaken. And there were a few students who had been impacted by other events. And I'm just, the level of shock and PTSD that's getting baked in is just heartbreak. So he was at a candlelight vigil or a music and candlelight vigil last night. And he said it was absolutely beautiful and such a bonding function. And so I want to go be with him. So I'm on a drive. So my weekend vlogs are now going to be in the car this weekend, but I wanted to reach out and connect, and hopefully people won't run me off the road here. So the reason that, so KindEdge.com, I've developed this methodology that is the practical, doable, bite-sized steps that can unlock the alternate ending to your life after truly 2 decades of using every methodology, every guru book, every online content inspo, every program, every retreat. The inspiration always failed in the face of real life, real pressures, what I call trains that have already left the station, too many commitments. Good people don't just throw caution to the wind and leave and give up all their responsibilities. I don't want to create regrets for all the people that I care about and the things that I care about just by taking some sort of impulsive leap. So, but one of the things is, who would want to make a big change in their life? Who would want to take trains off the tracks that they're on and get them on a different track? Who should put energy into these kinds of efforts because they take weeks and months and even years of reprogramming your insides in order to live differently on the outside and use your minutes in the day differently and have the courage and self-permission to go forth with what really matters, what you really dream about, and be connected with that. Who would do that? And one of the times that I know that somebody is probably ready is they're experiencing insomnia or are just very energized and awake in bed. And it's not just the to-do list. Oftentimes what's happening when you have this constant to-do list in your head, you're actually trying to whack away the to-do list of the things that you don't care about. You're wishing you could wish those things away. And so you're constantly rehashing all the things that are in your way. And what is happening in those cases of being energized at night is that you didn't unload your unfinished business, your unacted desires, your unacted passions. You didn't get a chance to unload those in your day. So you may have been busy during the day, but you're kind of filling up all of the to-do lists of things that other people prioritize and need from you, things that maybe your current job requires of you, and other people's objectives, other people's desires, and you're it's like the path ahead of you keeps getting filled in. You clear a little space in your day. You start to think you're going to get something that matters to you moving, and then you get blocked by all the things that fall in front of that. And so when you go to bed, you're still churning through, how do I get those 4, 5, 6 things done so that I can start on the project of me, the passion project, the thing that's churning inside of you that you're not listening to. Maybe it's a different career. Maybe it's a creative endeavor. You know that you feel it when you see someone else doing it. And it's the only time in your life you feel a little frustrated because you feel like, I could do that better, or I have those types of ideas. I'm supposed to be doing that. And it just kind of percolates in there. And when you try to go to bed and sleep, if those are unacted desires, you have these cravings and they're not acted out, that's a symptom, and it's a good symptom. It's a point for you to start writing things down.
Hey there, just going to chat for a bit on why insomnia can be a good thing. Nobody likes insomnia, but I'm going to tell you why it's a symptom worth listening to. You're watching me from a very awkward angle because I had this on a tripod up on the front of my console of the car and it overheated. So I can see logistically it's going to be challenging. We might just consider this an audio video. We'll just add in some visuals. I am on a road trip and it wasn't originally planned, but it is just fine. There was a shooting at my son's university at Florida State, and it's a horrible tragedy. My son is okay, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm heartbroken for those who were injured. I'm heartbroken for those who perished, and I want to be there with my son. He is he's got many friends. He's very strong, but I definitely felt the need to go up there and be with him and just make sure that he feels like he has self agency to do whatever it is he needs to do for the remainder of the school year. And I'm bringing the dog Donovan. You know my dog Donovan. So we're just going to go up and spend a little time. And it happens to be Easter weekend, so I'm excited to see him. And if I can do a little Easter bunny missions, I will accommodate that as well. So what I wanted to share here is that when people have insomnia, sometimes there are distinct reasons and very acute, exceptional reasons why you might have insomnia. But sometimes you're being kept up at night by the unfinished business that's really bothering you. And I worked for 2 decades using every methodology, every guru book, every inspo content, retreats, methodologies, everything you can imagine, to try to get everything about my life in alignment with what I really felt I needed to accomplish before I die. And I was unhappy with what I was given because I was given a lot of inspiration, but every book, every retreat, every weekend rah-rah session ended up with a book collecting dust on my bedstand because life doesn't work that way. I needed something that worked in the small bites that could get the machine and the change in motion in real life, despite all the trains that have already left the station. I can't just go rah rah at a weekend retreat and then say, I'm quitting everything and flying to Africa and starting a new life because I feel I would not want to make a change for myself that would create regrets about what I feel committed to with respect to my children, commitments to others, financial commitments, and so on and so forth. So to hold all those things in motion and also implement big change in your life is it's a challenging thing, and I have yet to see the rah-rah inspo gurus and even the deep psychological texts and the deep personality analyses really unlock what enables big change. I happen to work in change management for large global corporations, doing corporate communications and change management, crisis management, mergers, acquisitions, that kind of thing. And what I saw is that every time we're making a big change, it starts with an Excel spreadsheet. And I drive every Excel spreadsheet element is a step. Every row and column and cell is a step, a decision. And the drivers of those decisions are concrete analyses, a gap analysis, sitting down and looking at what we have now, what we need, and what we need to close the gap. All of these are very practical tools. And so what I built for myself is KindEdge.com. I have an entire set of tools that I'm publishing on KindEdge.com, which is just that, which is even if your life is too busy and at the end of the weekend you end up in the emergency room because your child twisted his ankle and you say there is no way for me to capture 2 minutes to actually get these important things in motion, what I learned is if I pre-built one worksheet for myself, then even if I'm stuck in the emergency room at 11:30 at night, I'm in the waiting room or you're letting your child rest. And I would say, okay, I've got my next worksheet done. I made those 3 decisions. I took those 3 actions. Now this machine is starting to run. Now I'm starting to push some things out of the way in my life. And so I developed these tools, which is pull it out of me, build it for myself as a tool, which I'm trying to give to you in order for it to be pulled out of me, because when my brain is frazzled and too much is conflicting, I need something that'll pull it out of me, just like I would pull big organizational change decisions out of my clients. And so these worksheets are one distinct decision. So 10 factors, fill in the worksheet. And then you say, see there, you see that new clarity? Do you see what you have to get out of the way in order to get something in? And you start to say, okay, and then every worksheet has a concrete action. And so you finish a worksheet, you're in the emergency room, and you're going to just stuff that worksheet away in your kindedge.com binder, and you take no next action. No, that will never happen because the next action is always doable. You can put something on your calendar and grab those minutes, but it's also critical to tether it to another person, another support person, another advisor, a bank advisor, whoever it is that's going to help propel the next step forward. So at the end of a key decision, you say, okay, I'm going to need to learn this technology. I'm going to need to get the application to the college degree. I'm going to need to make a phone call to somebody that I can find on LinkedIn who's already doing that. I'm going to need to. So you put it on your calendar, but you email or put a calendar request or you do a bank meeting request with that person. Because if you can tether to the next action, life rolls by too fast. But if you say, oh my gosh, 2 weeks flew by, but here I am in the bank meeting with that banker to discuss the business venture I want to do, um, you have gotten this machine in motion and you accelerate learning, you accelerate testing, you accelerate the ideas that you have that you want to get concretely in motion. And then the more concrete that becomes, the more you're able to take the time away, which is you'd have these educated conversations to say, I now need to have a negotiation at work in order to say, I need to have a half a day off on Friday because I'm preparing for a business venture. And yes, I might quit in 6 months, but I need to have this time for personal reasons. And you start to just get very concrete and real life about this building of what it is you want and you desire. So we go back now to who would want to do all of this type of change? How do we know that we're craving and ready for the big changes that take this much deep work, to unlock the alternate ending to our life, to change the way our life is going, or at least get in motion the things that we know we want to do before we die, before the next pandemic, before my house gets flooded again, before there's a school shooting at my son's university, before any of these continue to stop my goals, and well before retirement. Never wait for retirement. You want to get these things in motion. So one of the critical things that you can do is look at your sleep. If you are having insomnia, a lot of times that is a wonderful symptom that says you're getting a lot of things done during the day, but at night when you go to bed, your mind is spinning on the undone business about you, the project of you, the KindEdge.com unlocking of the alternate ending in your life. What is in the back of your mind that needs to be brought out in front in real life, the craving that you have, those things you see other people doing, and you get that little angst inside of you going, I could do that better. I already had that idea, or I've been wanting to do that if I could just change all of these other things around me. It's a big task and a big project. So if you are having insomnia and you're struggling with sleeping through the night, oftentimes what you're doing in your mind is you've done a lot of tasks during the day, but those tasks accomplished the goals and objectives of someone else, your employer, a family member, other people in your family. But there is some unfinished business that's bothering you, and you've kind of intuitively known, but you haven't brought it into real life in the awkward, messy, real way. And so when you start to do that, you start to take these actions, you meet with the banker, you exhaust yourself, you express yourself, you have this awkward conversation with the banker about the business venture you want to start. You start to talk to this person on LinkedIn. You drive all the way to the university that you want to go to night school and change your degree, and you actually talk to people. At the end of those days, you have a positive exhaustion. You have you have expressed yourself, you have unloaded, you have started lists. When you see that list build in actions in real life, you fall asleep because your mind says, "Oh, I scratched that itch. I finally scratched that itch." So, if you're having insomnia and you feel bothered and and you're kind of struggling with this extra energy that you're struggling with at night, um you sorry, I'm driving. I've got a long drive from it's a good 5 hours drive. Um so it is so valuable for you to begin to take action, and you will start to fall asleep exhausted in bed. Your mind won't be churning on all the unfinished business in your life. You will cross off that next thing on your list. And for me, the way I live now is I just zonk out heavy, hard, and I am asleep heavy and hard until I get up in the morning to start my next day. And I love that. I cherish that. And I feel it. I feel the difference of kind of giving my life minutes away to some things that aren't, that don't put my stamp on it, that don't have my secret sauce on it. Versus when I get at least a handful of my objectives into the day and I see things change, I see me creating things that didn't exist. Um, I just, my head falls down heavy on my pillow, and uh, it is a lovely feeling, and it is an exhausting feeling. And I feel like the list of what I want to do gets bigger and longer, and yet it is joyful to be doing those types of things and seeing the progress. And so I wish you, if you're experiencing insomnia, I wish you the actions that we're talking about here in KindEdge.com to enable you to really make real these little cravings, these little desires that you had, to make them so real and to give them the respect and the permission to have action and time investment and money investment. And as you begin to do that, you will feel happy exhaustion when you go to bed, and your mind will just be completely knocked out until you wake up the next day. And you will only feel bothered. And I will tell you this, you will only feel bothered. I even feel bothered sometimes when I go to something beautiful, like a wonderful weekend 2-day party or such. I sometimes feel bothered. And what I learned is no matter what kind of function I'm at on the weekends or whatever, I wake up excited at 5:30 or earlier, and I do all my mindfulness walking and breathing, but I get up and I get at a handful of my objectives done before anybody else wakes up. So when people are waking up at 8, 9, 10 a.m. on any of these kind of big social weekends, or we go to a party, I've gotten my big rocks done. I created something that day that didn't exist and that had my stamp on it. And then I just kind of feel relaxed and calm when I'm out doing other things because I don't feel like I'm carrying unfinished business with me. Some people aren't programmed that way. Some people love to just um, go on vacation purely to go on vacation. And I love travel and I've traveled a ton in my life. I've lived overseas several times in my life. But what energizes me is I've gotten a craving, I've gotten a desire, I've got a thing, a list of things that I want to get done and express myself with before I die. It's important to me. And so I don't want to see those minutes tick away due to any other sort of world events that seem to keep hitting me. But every event, flood, etc., that keeps hitting me is just another reminder that this is urgent, and I desire to unlock the alternate ending.